In this video, you are about to explore how a student-led protest in a relatively quiet town in southwest Serbia has become part of a much wider national confrontation over political power, academic freedom, and accountability. What began as anger over a deadly infrastructure failure has gradually evolved into a sustained movement questioning how institutions are run, who controls them, and what space remains for dissent. By the end of this video, you will understand why Novi Pazar has emerged as a symbolic battleground in Serbia's growing struggle between state authority and civic resistance. On Sunday, several thousand protesters from across Serbia converged on Novi Pazar, marking the first large-scale student demonstration of this kind in the town's history. Novi Pazar, located roughly 300 kilometers southwest of Belgrade, is notable not only for its geography but also for its demographics. It has a majority Bosniak Muslim population and is considered Serbia's youngest town, with approximately 60% of residents under the age of 30. The protest was organized in response to what students and academics describe as escalating political pressure on state-run universities, particularly the revocation of student statuses and dismissals of faculty members following months of activism. This demonstration did not emerge in isolation. It forms part of a nationwide protest movement that intensified after a tragic incident in November last year, when the roof of a railway station in Novi Sad collapsed, resulting in the loss of 16 lives. The incident quickly became a symbol of broader concerns about corruption, substandard public infrastructure, and lack of accountability in Serbia. Investigations into the collapse raised questions about construction oversight, procurement practices, and political responsibility, sparking public outrage that extended far beyond the city where the incident occurred. Students soon became one of the most visible forces in this movement. In the months following the collapse, university groups across Serbia organized rallies, lectures, and marches, framing their demands not only around justice for the victims but also around systemic reform. Novi Pazar students gained national attention after undertaking a multi-day walk to Novi Sad to participate in protests marking the first anniversary of the disaster on November 1st. That journey, covering hundreds of kilometers on foot, transformed them into symbols of perseverance and civic engagement, particularly among younger Serbians. However, participation in these protests came with consequences. Students from Novi Pazar later reported that university authorities revoked regular enrollment status for those who missed classes due to protest activities. In Serbia, losing student status can have serious implications, including the loss of state-funded tuition, housing, and healthcare benefits. In addition, dozens of lecturers were reportedly dismissed or had their contracts terminated, actions that protesters interpreted as punitive measures rather than administrative decisions. Activists stated that approximately 200 students were affected, along with around 30 academic staff members. The demonstration in Novi Pazar brought together students, professors, and supporters from cities and towns across the country. Many traveled long distances to show solidarity, arguing that what was happening in Novi Pazar could set a precedent for universities nationwide. Protesters emphasized that academic institutions should remain autonomous spaces for learning and debate, free from political retaliation. They called for the resignation of the university's managing board and demanded the appointment of interim leadership, including the election of a new rector through transparent and independent processes. Throughout the day, demonstrators maintained a structured and symbolic program. Participants paused to observe moments of silence in remembrance of those who lost their lives in the Novi Sad station collapse, reinforcing the link between the original tragedy and the ongoing movement. Protesters waved flags representing their hometowns and universities, underscoring the nationwide scope of the demonstrations. Chants and whistles echoed through the streets, reinforcing a sense of collective identity and resolve without escalating into confrontation. The protest movement accuses Serbia's political leadership, particularly President Aleksandar Vučić and his ruling Serbian Progressive Party, of fostering an environment characterized by corruption, nepotism, weakened public services, and constrained media freedom. According to international watchdog organizations, Serbia has experienced a steady decline in press freedom rankings over the past decade, with concerns raised about political influence over public broadcasters and pressure on independent journalists. The government, for its part, has consistently rejected these accusations, maintaining that reforms are underway and that protests are politically motivated. Novi Pazar's role in this movement carries additional significance because of its ethnic and religious composition. The town's Bosniak Muslim majority distinguishes it from much of Serbia, which is predominantly Orthodox Christian. Despite the violent conflicts that followed the breakup of Yugoslavia in the 1990s, Novi Pazar has remained largely free of ethnic clashes for more than 3 decades. Protest organizers were keen to emphasize unity across ethnic and religious lines, framing their demands as civic rather than identity-based. Demographically, Novi Pazar's youthfulness has played a crucial role in shaping the protests. With a large student population and limited employment opportunities, many young residents already face economic uncertainty. Serbia's youth unemployment rate, while lower than during the early 2000s, remains significantly higher than the national average. This economic backdrop has intensified frustrations as many young people feel excluded from decision-making processes that affect their futures. Higher education has become a focal point in this broader struggle. State universities in Serbia enroll tens of thousands of students and rely heavily on government funding. Critics argue that this financial dependence makes institutions vulnerable to political pressure, particularly when university leadership appointments intersect with party interests. Supporters of the protests claim that recent actions against students and faculty reflect an attempt to discourage dissent by targeting those perceived as politically active. As the protest concluded, organizers reiterated that Novi Pazar's situation should not be viewed as an isolated dispute between a university administration and its students. Instead, they framed it as a test case for academic freedom and democratic norms across Serbia. The movement shows no signs of fading, with further demonstrations planned in other cities and ongoing calls for dialogue, transparency, and institutional reform. For now, Novi Pazar stands as a powerful symbol within Serbia's evolving protest landscape. A town known more for its cultural heritage than political confrontation has become a rallying point for a generation demanding accountability, autonomy, and respect for civic participation. Whether these demands lead to tangible policy changes remains uncertain, but their resonance across the country suggests that the questions being raised will not disappear quietly.